welcome everybody. How's it going? Welcome back to Fort Tarsis Radio. This is episode number 12. My name is Dorseus, alongside my co-host Adima. Welcome back, you guys. We're off of our brief hiatus and ready to talk a little bit about what's going on with Anthem.
Yeah. So this week we're going to try something a little different. We are going to cover the recent news, go over a couple of the recent patches since our last episode, and maybe finish off discussing builds and our ideas for our format going forward.
Yeah, it'll be a good time because, as you can see, Anthem's in a kind of interesting place right now. If you haven't caught the news, if you haven't been lately on Kotaku, or if you haven't heard the name Jason Schreier, perhaps this will be news to you. But Jason covered a very big article. I don't recommend scrolling through on your phone. Boot this up on your desktop. Just read it there. Otherwise, you're going to be scrolling for a while to read this. But he had the opportunity, and he interviewed 19 current and former BioWare employees that were either working on Anthem, or I'd say Anthem adjacent, because they had coworkers working on Anthem, and to interview them and get their thoughts on what became of Anthem. And essentially, like, his article is titled "What Went Wrong." It's a pretty eye-opening article, to be pretty blunt. It's confirmed some people's fears, I feel like.
Yeah, it was actually feasibly even worse than I had feared. So the article touched base on several points, weak points throughout the entire development process. How, like, there was pretty much gross mismanagement and like loss of leadership and just a lack of focus throughout many points in the entire development process. And then like the loss of leadership, some people just left the company that were leaders on this project.
Right.
Yeah,
that was crazy. And the idea of, like, when you say that, like, losing leaders, but then also, like, when a couple of the people he interviewed said they had never heard of what stress leave was. Like, I had no idea what that was until reading the article. And it's just like, wait, whoa. It got that stressful that somebody had to leave for months at a time before even maybe not even returning to the team.
Yeah, just completely leaving the studio forever.
Right? Like, it's like not just a hiatus, they're gone. like, oh, okay. And then the idea that the head doesn't know what the hands are doing, or just like the devs quite clearly didn't have, like, a lot of great direction from leadership, or leadership wanted to take some very peculiar stances for anybody that wants to make a game where, like, I guess Destiny and you became like the naughty word at the studio. It's like they realized that they had things they could look at. Like, the devs knew, like, hey, Destiny is something we can look at because they've done this before. And the fact that their leadership wouldn't want to hear that's just, like, really sad. Just like, guys, look, we could, like, maybe avoid pitfalls, and heck, maybe even ask them how they do it. And it's just like, no, we're going to talk about how it's going to be like Diablo.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, that's certainly a method you could do, maybe not the preferred, but
yeah. And looking back at the art book, and it's even touched based on a little bit in the article as well, with the Beyond concept.
right.
It almost felt more like maybe even a Don't Starve, where, like, you load out into outside of the city, and then you're exploring for hours on end, trying to scavenge and gather resources and find wreckages of alien ships, which is part of the reason why I think the game is the way it is, with its load screens. And
Right.
why free play almost feels like it does, where like you're just wandering around aimlessly.
Right. Like, what are you doing? Well, you're supposed to be doing this a lot.
Yeah.
A lot, a lot. Like we just keep throwing things at you. And even that idea when they talked about sounded amazing. Like the idea is like, oh yeah, we'll just ratchet this thing up randomly if you have to fight that. Or, and just the idea that you would build upon your stuff the more you go beyond the wall. And it's just like, oh yeah, you maybe can't get this far yet, but hey, check out this cool alien artifact or whatever that maybe will give you gear that can help you go further like than you have before. And like that sounds awesome. And even just the name sounded like, I don't want to say Anthem has a cool ring to it, but Beyond sounds like infinitely better. I'm gonna be that person. Like it sounds way better if you had to choose between the two.
Yeah, and like I'm glad with the direction they kind of went with. Like flying is awesome. Like
Right.
use in earlier concepts, like that wasn't even like a concept. Like there was climbing, like you could climb on top of monsters like Shadow of the Colossus or climb rock walls and things like that.
Right.
And like
Like just clambering mechanics.
yeah, so like Assassin's Creed, I imagine, is a good comparison there. But like Assassin's Creed has taken, I don't know, years, and it hasn't been good until Origins.
Right, it hasn't all been great.
in a while until Origins came out, and then Odyssey is like hitting perfection. Yeah. Like it is a very very good game. Yeah. I don't like. So I could definitely see the attraction or the pull to that, but like they nailed the flying down in this.
And thank God they did.
Yeah. Because if they hadn't, this game wouldn't exist at all.
Yeah. Just like I could not like part of me like I want to try it because like there was like unwisely I caught some Reddit posts after Jason's article hit the internet. And I like went to like let's see how much fire is in the Anthem subreddit right now. The usual amount. But I saw one article that was pretty cool where somebody's like, after reading the article, I kind of just literally ran through Anthem the next time I was in free play. And it's different. Like, and I hadn't thought about that because, like, yeah, why would I just run around? I can literally fly everywhere. And it's just like, well, I guess maybe there could be some concepts for changing it to be more of that. If you didn't have flight, would it still be as interesting? But like, same time, I'm like, don't take my flight from me. This is precious. This is like one of the things that makes Anthem amazing.
Yeah, and like talking about the Reddit, I actually feel like the toxicity has dropped off a bit, and this is. I mean, it's
knock.
It's still Reddit, but like you see posts like seeing how this game was made in something like 12 to 16 months. Like I feel bad for the development team, like, and then two, like just imagine if they had another year to actually flush out the product, or 6 months to a year to flush out the product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Like this is what happens when you're asked to actually build the game in less than a year. Like this is what you get. Like you don't if somebody was like, hey, I needed 3 years, and like you have 1 year and 2 months, like go. We're like, oh crap. like and the like also this that was a little disheartening to hear that like the devs realized what they needed to do. They could see like maybe I wouldn't want to say they could see shortcomings, but they could definitely see where they could have learned from like other games and just needing the time to build things because as always Frostbite is not kind. Like is not kind for them to develop in, which to me echoes Destiny, like with their own engine troubles. Like yeah, this is what we have to do to make it work. It's kind of cumbersome, but like what they've had to do to make Anthem work in Frostbite is like, so wait, you had to like build all this stuff, and then, well, you had to like basically see if you could outdo FIFA to get some resources. Like that was kind of sad.
Yeah, so there was a lot of major issues in relation to that. So, using your comparison with Destiny, like Bungie made that engine.
Right. That's a key difference.
Frostbite is made by a completely different studio. Some of the code, I believe, isn't necessarily. It doesn't translate well. Like I'm
Right.
sure it translates to English just fine, but like logically, the naming conventions and things like that.
Right. Don't translate in a smooth
Yeah,
fashion.
yeah,
Oh man.
and like so I actually completely agree with the concept of taking and building a game engine that the entire range of studios the publisher uses.
Right. Like a universal engine for everything.
It just is a horrible process when like everyone is going through the process of building this engine like while they're
Right.
working on their current games.
Right. Like if you had like so and this makes me think of another comparison, and maybe it will be fruitful hopefully for the thing I'm about to just name drop here. But what's going on with 343 Industries and building Halo Infinite? They've been building an engine. Like like that makes me feel a little bit more appreciative and like not being the entitled gamer jerk I was when I, was done freaking out about it at E3, where it's like, oh, well, all they did was show us an engine. I'm like, well, guess how important that probably is right now that they've been working on an engine to build a game this long. Like, if you don't have the right tools to build this and you spend all this time trying to make the game while building the thing that needs to build your game, like, that's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, and that's part of what made Halo in general amazing. Like the sandbox that Bungie didn't need to do this or even offer it to the community. Like Forge is
Right.
revolutionary in its own right, and it's amazing that you can create your own game modes like swords only or rockets only or cars only and
Right.
just like absolute like it makes
Yeah,
me
they just
so
opened it up.
jealous thinking of Halos in like comparison to Destiny's. Pathetic.
Right.
Oh, you can change the timers and
Yeah,
choose a map.
Yeah, it's definitely a paring down, that's for sure. It's like,
Yeah.
like, well, do you want to make it custom? No, I meant like I'm only gonna give you a plasma pistol and there's a bunch of boxes custom. That's what I wanted. Like,
Yeah. Like, so not only heavy weapons only, but specific heavy weapons. Like, oh, only use truths. Or
right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and just to like think that like they had an engine built up like that, and I just like I would love to like in my head like at this point picture what Anthem could have been like if they had those resources. Like if BioWare had that, like the ability to, even if it had been like diverting other resources to help the dev team to be like, we want to make this amazing sandbox, but we need you to like fix this because these instructions are madness. Like could have been and potentially could still be amazing. Like, but that's a lot of work. That's a hell of a lot of work.
Yeah, and like one problem with Frostbite that I know of from their previous projects, like such as Dragon Age Inquisition and Andromeda, they didn't have support for saving because it was made for first-person shooters.
Right. Like, who saves in a first-person shooter? Like, no one, apparently.
Yeah, like it's just a checkpoint system. Like, you don't manually save anything.
Right? Like hearing that, just like, oh man, you think that like, and I guess this could have been like again because like Jason mentions it in his article, like you'd think that they maybe would have learned something after they had done Inquisition, like. But it's like, no, 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 we can totally do it again. It'll be fine. It'll like, no, no, I don't think you quite understand. Like, it doesn't just work like that. But here we go.
Yeah, and to point that out, like one horrifying thing that I read from the article was how BioWare staff indicated they wanted Inquisition to fail because of what they went through to get that game ready to release.
Right.
And it was it was a great game with some bugs.
Right. It was a fun experience.
Yeah. But like after in a retrospective of these past 3 games, like
right.
It really makes sense that something has to change.
Right. And the fact that like I don't think as a consumer or even us, like as people on podcasts, like I would love to say that our voices would be something to make a business change that kind of practice for the good of like the people who actually work there to build this product that we consume. But if it got to the point where they as devs are like, I work here, but I want this thing to fail because it's not working. Like as a whole, that is a very, very tell sign of how things were actually going.
Yeah, and that was with Dragon Age Inquisition. That was like 3 or 4 years ago.
3 games ago.
Yeah,
that was like that's like 2 games ago, guys. They didn't want that to go well because of what they had to go through. And that totally makes sense to like be that under that kind of stress and those kind of deadlines and not have the resources and basically having just like, I guess, leadership that says, I hear you, but we won't do anything about it. Which is nope. Like for a normal job, that's shitty. I couldn't imagine like going like having like that kind of, to me, a dream job of like, yeah, what do you do? I build video games. How is it? Management shitty. It's like, what? Like that's not something you should ever have to feel.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of horrifying.
Yeah. That's like, a monkey's paw kind of situation. Like, well, you can work in video games, but you're going to be under the crunch of BioWare magic. Like, oh, great.
Yeah, and I have to say, one good thing that came out of all of this is many developers at many other studios are pointing out, like, this is gaming. Like,
right.
I've known this for ages, like even back when I was doing it. Like, it's horrible, horrendous work sometimes, and like there is zero job reliability, so you got to stress out about that too.
Right. Like it's not a. It's like is it like a terrible thing of like seeing how the hot dog is actually made? Like the inside is not actually that pristine. Like when you actually go to look at it, you're like, oh no.
Yeah, but hopefully this will spark some sort of change, not only in BioWare but in Electronic Arts or the entire industry as a whole.
Right. Hopefully, because like it makes me think of like all the kind of memes I've seen about like getting jobs in 2019 and even 2018, where it's just like, it's like, hey, yeah, we have this like impressive break room and ping pong tables and all this. Like, how about living wages and not like, doubling down on really, really stressful deadlines? Like, well, did I mention we have a ping pong table? It's like, yeah, guys, it needs to actually change. But yeah. I'm hoping something happens.
Well, look at Google. They have everything there.
Right.
They have restaurants. They have like a gym. They have beds. They have
right. Well, yeah, that's the scary part is when it gets to that. Like, you will live here. Like, oh crap.
Exactly. That's their plan.
Yeah. Like,
spend as much time here as physically possible. It's horrifying for a job.
Right.
Yeah. A job should not be your life. It doesn't matter how wonderful all these amenities are. Like,
right.
It's kind of terrifying that that's their idea.
Yeah, and it's just like, yeah, I couldn't imagine because like if that's what Google's like, BioWare looks like, it's probably like, some gulag prison. Like, just like, what happened? Well, we slept under our desks today. They fed us crackers. I still have to get frostbite to work,
Oh God. And so I don't know if we should really cover this because it was kind of like tactless, but
The response.
the initial response. So
You have the initial response. Yeah, I mean it's worth mentioning, especially after like I don't want people to watch this and be like, "Geez, Dorseus, you're really like bashing on BioWare and whatnot." It's like I'd bash on anybody that treats their devs like this. To be quite honest with you, if you actually came to me and showed me the story or the articles and what people had to go through, I have no problem telling you that's crappy. like it's just this is who we're talking about right now. We're talking about BioWare in Anthem, and it's scary, like what they had to go through, and then like not even what the article, Jason's article from Kotaku wasn't even posted for about 15 minutes,
yeah,
and BioWare had already released this first response.
Yeah, and it's very tone deaf. Like,
oh yeah,
and then they attacked the press to top it off, which like
yeah.
the one of the main purposes of the press is for accountability,
Right.
whether it is for Uber or the stock market or banks or the presidency, not to really get political, but like literally that is part of their job. Whatever they are journalists for, that's part of what they have to work on. Is like if someone's doing something horrible, like where employees feel like they have to take months off of work and they're hiding in rooms crying, like
they're probably
you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. Like, hey, you might want to pay attention to this, Yeah, and it's not even always just to like not to like make everybody look like the big bad, but it's just to be truthful, It's like we're gonna report what's there, and if what's there is your employees like crying in rooms by themselves and going on hiatus and maybe never coming back, like even some of your head people leaving this project, like that's news. Those are things that maybe people want to talk about, especially if as like this blog and then some of even the interviewees that Jason had were like, we weren't really being listened to.
Yeah, and this blog just kind of exemplifies that. And like, not to criticize Anthem by any means, like this is completely like a PR nightmare for BioWare. This blog, like they should just delete it.
Start over.
Like, because later Casey wrote an internal email which was leaked to Kotaku, and that was a lot better response to this article, because he actually read it and like, so we need to solve the issues that are pointed out in this article with our management, like our leadership not listening, like the dealing with the crunch time issues. Yeah. So
like,
this was
Casey's response better. Far better. Like these are things we need to do. Like having like to actually acknowledge it, like whether it made you happy or not, like you have to acknowledge that. And he did. Thank goodness.
Yeah. 100%. Like it was the entire tone was, and the best part that I pointed out was like number of developers who worked on the beloved AAA studios also messaged him, like, replace BioWare with my studio, and it's the same story kind of thing. So
Right.
maybe he'll write more articles in this
Right.
same vein, or
That'd be cool.
or just one article about how this is a problem in the industry in general.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And like, and this is probably gonna like be a topic for like maybe like another day, or probably for Jason, because I can't write as well as Jason for Kotaku. But like, that also makes me wonder how much of a driving focus we have as people on our ends as consumers. Like, what do we get to do that makes the company respond different for its developers? Like, how much of a driving force are we actually for them? Like, because I always find it silly when people go, boycott this game, don't buy this game. I'm like, what is that really actually gonna do? Like, are enough of you not gonna buy this game? Like, if you went back in time and somehow got everybody to not buy Anthem, like, ooh, you know, like, I don't know if that would have sent the right message.
Yeah, I mean, just look at Metro. Metro was boycotted by a lot of people on Steam, and like it was review bombed and all that nonsense. Steam since then has instituted a new policy, and they actually it went into effect, and you can actually see it working with Borderlands Game of the Year Enhanced and Borderlands Handsome Collection, like Borderlands 2, all that stuff. So what Steam has done since then is, if there is a dramatic swing and a mass number of reviews within a small period of time, they cluster all of them together, and they don't delete them, but they star them, and they say this is an anomaly, and we are marking this. They actually have someone
statistical anomaly.
Review the statistical anomaly. The actual staff does this, and then they mark the whole batch, and you can have those reviews in that section count towards the actual score in Steam, or not count towards it.
Wow. Oh, okay, gotcha. So you don't get like a review bombed score, essentially.
Yeah.
So it'd be like if it'd almost be like a comparison of like Destiny 2, like 3 months in compared to like the day Forsaken came out, you know? It's like, or like, you know, even a couple weeks after Forsaken came out, like, there's a difference in reviews.
I mean, like, Epic is working their butts off to attack Steam, and then they do something that's just like genuinely really great for game developers, where if like something like the entire reason why it happened with Borderlands and Borderlands 2 and all those is because 3 is 6-month exclusive on Epic.
Right. 6 months.
Yeah.
6 months.
And then they just review bombed it. Yeah.
Which I don't get why you'd waste your time doing that, but okay.
Yeah, and
that's fine.
Going back to the original point, so Metro, the new one, is a year exclusive, and it was still like the first or second best-selling game that month. Like, even with
people
that whole mess.
It. Yeah. So it's just like, you know, and because even that makes you wonder, just like, yeah, guys, we need more Jasons out there, I guess. You know, more people willing to, and I guess not even just more Jasons, because I'm sure there are people who would be willing to write those articles and interview those folks, but like those 19 devs that were willing to step up and talk about it, like, good on you. Like, thank you. Like, seriously, because, you know, like, not knowing whether or not what that's going to cost you, if, you know, you have to come out here and you want to talk about it, but like knowing that you should or have to, like, that takes a lot too, to be like, hey, it ain't so great, you know, things aren't working. So it just makes me wonder, like, in comparison to, like, especially with like the, hey, insert my studio here instead of the name BioWare, and it's the same, like, is this like this is it? Is this it? Like everywhere is it like just shiny PR tape and like streamers we see everywhere?
I know from personal experience, like the game industry can be really awesome, but there is a lot of shady and weird stuff. Like the number one way that I find to get into gaming is have a friend at the studio.
Right. Yes. Know somebody. That's like key for everything. So I guess I'm not too surprised.
That is number one. And then after that point, it's like there's a lot of like little clusters of people like, oh, I got my wife a job here in HR department, and I have my brother and his wife are working here, and like
right.
you see a lot of that stuff where entire like families are working at the same studio.
It's like, how'd you guys all get here? Oh, well, he started here. Like, oh, okay.
Another thing that's just in general big with the entire industry is crunch, like
right.
what they expose here a bit, like that. I mean, a lot of jobs have that to every degree. Like you work
right.
at Lockheed, and everything is done based on government contracts, and like you have 6 months to complete this specific contract, and then you
right.
lose your job, which also happens in gaming in some cases, or maybe even a lot of cases. Like
right.
it just depends on the studio's general attitude. Like, are these employees contractors? Are they contracted to work on this game? Will we renew them? Like, if you are working at a game company as a contractor, you just need to assume that you will lose your job when that contract is over. It doesn't matter how well you get along with everyone. You need to be prepared to lose your job. Right. That way, you can...
No surprises.
Yeah.
No surprises.
Yeah. That way it doesn't come as a shock, like, I got along with everyone. Everyone likes me.
It's like, why? I thought they liked me. Yeah, like popularity contest does not matter.
Yeah. Yeah. But, so, going on after that, I guess, I don't know, we can cover the recent updates on the game.
Yeah. So last update, and I know they had a smaller patch, I think. I actually just installed it just like a couple hours ago.
Yeah.
But I believe the last big updates we had in Anthem included finally the replayability of story missions in legendary story missions. So it was the ability to replay one story mission per day as much as you wanted. You could play it over and over again, that mission, if you wanted, burn a whole day. But you could finally replay the story missions, rotates daily, adding keys to the daily challenges, so the Elysian Cache keys. So you should have it marked if you go look at the challenges and whatnot by Lucky Jack. You should see the little special symbol. It'll be next to one of the challenges. You complete that challenge, you get a key, which you can then use to open up the Elysium cache, which, if you're doing that, you just need to have one person open the cache. So, which is good. Everybody gets something out of this if one person opens it, which that actually had me a little nervous beforehand, where it's just like, oh man, is this going to be like those times where like Destiny reference again, like if I forgot like a key inside of like Prison of Elders or something like that. It's like, I got nothing out of this whole thing. Yeah, thankfully no. You guys still get stuff. And the drops for the chest, I believe, was all vanity mainly, right? It was like vanity. It was
So here is the controversial part.
Yeah.
So like 67, like 71-ish items in the chest were vanity items, but there was 161 items total. So everything else is resources for like embers or javelin components for a javelin you're probably not even using.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
that the community got a little upset about that,
Mm-hmm.
and especially
And
consider that this is on like for a short amount of time. So
yes.
they're even more frustrated that like they have to like continuously grind this out, and like it's going to take a little bit for them to actually get everything, and likely many of them won't.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a lot of if you're like me and you've been playing it casually, sure, it's fine. But if you had been in this to like, I want to say power game it, but to spend a considerable amount of time inside of this, that is not a lot of stuff. And the keys almost feel like an arbitrary way to expand that amount of time it's going to take you to do that. Because it's like, well, we're going to make you grind to get this key, so you have to do other things as well. Maybe you'll get that thing that you want that's in this chest. Maybe. We'll see. Like...
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind this to a degree. It's the same with everything else in this game. It's
right.
Like, they don't reward you well enough, I guess you could say.
Right.
Like, there's some people with amazing RNG, and they get, like, 3 legendaries within 5 minutes. And then there's other people that have horrible RNG, and in 100 hours, they get, like, 5.
Right. Yeah. And I was going to say, as a person who hasn't even, like, really bothered to step in the GM just because I've been playing so casually, I'm on that terrible RNG side, where it's just, like, I don't even, like, get, like, what I feel like are decent normal drops. Like, so I can't imagine what it's like to like be looking for, oh, can I get a legendary? Can I? No, you can't. Like it's not perfectly balanced.
Yeah, and people are talking about how they should restructure it more in the sense of Diablo, where you're grinding GM1 to get ready for GM2. You're grinding GM2 to get ready for GM3. Like, it should give you higher chances for the better gear to get to the better levels. And this ideally scales infinitely. So you could be GM50.
Right. Exactly. Like, make sure, like, whatever level you are at should be trying to help you defeat your next higher level.
Yeah.
Like, that just seems like a main gameplay sort of thing, just like, yeah, every game kind of does that to a degree. It's like, yeah, here's these tools to help you with your next challenge.
But, like, I already knew that the GM2 and 3 were added, like, November, December-ish because of game changer feedback.
Right.
So, like, I didn't realize this entire, like, mess.
Yes.
that occurred in the last 16 months prior to release. But, like, so I understand that BioWare is likely even thinking of this, and they know it. It's just, it's not there yet. And, I mean, you do really feel bad because Anthem is really, really fun, but, like, for me, I can't even I don't even play most of or even try, because, like, there was several days in a row where I had pilot load data error. And I'd get that, like, 5 or 6 times in a row, and I was like, if the game is being toxic and rejecting me, why do I even bother attempting this?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the patience we had like towards the beginning was like, just try again. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. Just like it wears thin after a little bit.
Yeah, and
But
but I've been enjoying Risk of Rain and Borderlands again.
there's always something to do. Like, and part of me likes to hop back in just because I do enjoy like small things. Like I do enjoy the flying. I like wasting time in free play and just looking around. Like I can do things like that, but like until we get, I don't want to say more of like what we have with the Elysium chest. I think like getting the expanded loot pool will always help. Um, if they find a way to diversify more of the weapons, like a lot of the devs mentioned in the article, like, yeah, we need to make things look different and diversify, and make them kind of unique. That will also help. Like, having that reason, like, there's not really a carrot dangled in front of us for Anthem right now. Beyond the only carrot that is there is just looking at the release calendar. Like that is all the only thing there, really.
Yeah, and like I'm really excited to see where this game is 6 months from release and then 1 year
Right.
from release.
Right.
Because that is, both of those points are going to be good gauges as to, so are they actually listening to internal employee feedback? Two,
Right.
are they listening to our feedback? Like,
Right.
take the creator of the Loot 2.0 in
Right.
in Diablo wrote a Reddit thread that was very well received by the community about how the game needs to be more generous, and they kind of just like they bracing this game off of Diablo, but they completely snub the guy that made Diablo a
Right.
success.
Right. It's just like, you didn't do this thing. Yeah, you kind of missed the point.
Yeah, like, and I I really hope moving forward that they do listen to all these
Yes.
criticisms, because they might have an idea of what they want, but
Right.
if they do that and then the community, number one, doesn't want it, or number two, hates it, it's just
Right.
going to spiral worse and worse and worse.
Yeah. And I think, and I'm just gonna like ask you because I don't imply and put words in your mouth.
Yeah.
But when we say they, I feel like, and this is like going to be me making assumptions, so forgive me, everybody. Uh, I feel like a lot of the devs at BioWare understand ways they can make it better, and yes, have those thoughts about I think this could be better. Um, Based off of what I've read, I feel like they're not the ones that need to be taking the criticism in or at least not directly all the criticisms and feedback.
Yeah, and
We need their bosses to take this criticism and feedback to
yeah,
be like, let your team do this thing.
and
Like, let them try it.
that was my initial point where, like, they need to listen to their own internal feedback.
Right.
Like, they're devs.
Right.
Like, if they said, this, we did this in Tor and it doesn't work, and this is why it doesn't work. This is how we fixed it, and
Right.
they're still doing it the way they want and completely ignoring that.
Yeah, that's a whole nother problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you have you have the people that have those experiences and knowledge, which is invaluable. Like, listen to them.
Yeah.
Listen to them. They want this thing to be amazing, just as much as you think you do. Like nobody wants it to actually fail. But yeah, like those people know. Believe the tour team. They had something great.
Yeah. No, they didn't. But they made it great.
Yeah, they made it great. True,
Yeah.
true. Let me take that back. They turned it into something.
Yeah. So there is that. Like, and Anthem's the same way. Like, it definitively has a lot of potential, but it's just very frustrating.
Yeah, yeah. Like I only just hope it gets better. I want it to. I really do. Like it makes me sad. Everybody that I go to work and they're like, "Hey, so you playing Anthem still?" I'm like, I'm kind of playing the Division. Like, sorry guys. Like, and like, but you were talking about it forever. I'm like, yeah. Have you read the things that I've read?
Well,
have you seen what we've seen?
yeah. I mean, it's not just that for me. Like, for me personally, I can't even. Like, it is so frustrating when, like, you're doing things that you think is right, like running high lock or things like that, and that because I'm sure it's somewhere in the code where there's a cap, and when they increase the threshold for the
For the heatsink?
for the luck for GM2 and 3.
Oh, yeah.
You
luck. Okay.
You pass that threshold now much faster. So I used to run like 89 luck because that was just what you did, and that was the best according to many people. And then after countless tests, and then since then, like, you make the comment that like this feels awful now. Like, I get 99% purples and 1 or 2 masterworks.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've seen all the memes.
Yeah.
Like, perfectly balanced. You're like, oh no.
Yeah. But I've run 0 through 50. All that is a good range. So I legitimately think that they increased the base amount, but because of that, they didn't account for, like, the rest.
The threshold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just, like, messes you over.
Right. And just the idea that, like, what is the luck? Can we see it? Can I do anything about it? Like, well,
yeah, it's very all the statistics in this game are very ethereal at this point.
Yes. It's just like, it was a little bit more ethereal. Not in the way I was hoping for ethereal. You know?
Yeah. So, I'm hoping I'm going to try and play again. And I hope I don't get pilot load data errors where I can't escalate longitude, anything, but...
It'll be great.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
It'll be fun to actually play.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, did we want to talk builds? Do we want to talk any builds?
Yeah, so we could definitely... I can definitely jump into the game and go into the forge.
Well, at least we can do that. Let's hope there's not a pilot load error here.
Yeah. Actually, I gotta launch Origin, so it's probably gonna be like, you need to update your game.
It's like, I mean, maybe.
Yeah. Yep. But I have great internet, so it'll be done very quickly.
Very nice. And this time for builds, you guys, we're going to be looking at interceptor builds, which is great for people like me who like being the quick boy.
Yeah, and I've definitely been playing a lot of interceptor myself. Like,
I feel bad because I still haven't really touched many of the others besides the Ranger.
Yeah, I don't like the Ranger. Like, I like the 2 dodge, and that's about it. Like, okay. I don't like his other skills because I feel like
bulwark shields and everything.
His ultimate runs out too fast.
There's only so many missiles it can carry.
Yeah, I know.
Apparently.
And it can
apparently
it can still do like 1 million damage. So 2 minutes on this down.
2 minutes?
Or less than that. 1 minute and 15 seconds.
Yeah, that's actually fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, watch it accidentally boots up Apex.
We're going to talk builds in Apex.
Like, the only loadout you care about is Mozambique.
Yeah. So we're going to talk builds in Risk of Rain today.
It's what we do here, right?
Yeah. Welcome to Risk of Rain 2 Radio.
I'm waiting for our segue to Animal Crossing. I'll definitely be in on that one.
Animal Crossing Radio. Or Borderlands 3 Radio.
Featuring Handsome Jack.
I wonder if Borderlands, like, there'll be a game after Borderlands 3 that is the post-trilogy. Yeah, because I'm trying to think of another way to like do pre-sequel, but like do it in reverse. Yeah. So I was just finalizing the data.
The prequel hereafter.
Or it'll be something stupid like the sequel, but not a numbered sequel.
Right, yeah. Not an actual numbered sequel.
Yeah.
We're releasing Borderlands 7, the sequel that will be made down the road.
Okay, it just downloaded.
Nice. Oh, look, guys, I can prove to you Adema is now playing Anthem. You'll probably see a second. One of the interesting things about us doing this on YouTube, there is quite a delay. So I'm like watching the past happen as we do this.
Okay.
And just, I think it... Oh, there we go. The feed was adjusting there. Okay, you got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, part of the things we're doing, we're trying to do more of this stuff here on the podcast. So this is kind of like our first outing with us doing this. So it's going to look a little rough around the edges initially, but we'll be nailing it down. So we can show you guys more stuff, and maybe every now and then we'll jump in on a mission or two and show you what we can do with the builds.
Yeah. There's a news feed.
Right? The feed is back. That was one of the things in the hot fix.
Yeah, from
they
today.
Fixed the news feed.
So, free play. Just click that and then launch the Forge.
Thank goodness the Forge just loads. That was like my favorite update.
So this is my melee build. I'm just using 2 whatever.
Good. Let's get started.
Oh, look
Gear
at
items?
that pink and purple.
This is my candy floss themed
Blue.
javelin.
Gotcha.
Either that or bubblegum. I'm just been playing with this because it's new, but generally I like either using the Rainier's Charge because it quickly gets you into the fray. I sometimes like using Absolute Zero, but
Nice.
the one I really like is Serpent's Veil, and I'm just waiting for a legendary of that.
Very nice.
And then for the strike system, this is my favorite, Viper's Bites. This is pretty decent too, Sudden Death. But ultimately, what I've been doing is using two elemental weapons. So this one ignites the enemy, and this one freezes the target. And then I have various things that increase combo, like elemental damage.
Nice.
The entire point of this build is to increases all damage by 50% for 10 seconds when picking up a repair pack. So anytime I pick up health or repair packs, I want to increase my damage. Or every time I kill something, it increases my damage. Or every time I dodge, it increases my damage.
Right.
Or,
Like, increase that output.
yeah. And then the reason why I really like this is one of my favorite components is interceptors are weak. So, like,
Yeah, it's a bit squishy.
you can get almost to the point where you're one-shot a lot. So this emergency power, every 2 minutes, you refill your ultimate immediately. And
that's the way to go.
yeah, I like running that. And then instead of running Sudden Death, the reason why I really like this is because hitting an enemy adds 7 ultimate charges. So if you, say, use this ability, Rainier's Charge, you fly into a group of enemies, and then you use this, Viper's Bite. Like, this is actually backwards. It's like you're using the
Using the
primer
detonator first.
Yeah, the detonator first, then the primer. And you can fly into a group of enemies very rapidly because it targets an enemy and flies into it, and then use this ability. And if you hit like 3 or 4, you have your ultimate immediately.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Then you can just knife away.
Yeah. And then, like, it's even easier now, and I don't know if I haven't played it, this most recent update, but in the previous update, it was broken where it seemed like you were comboing very, very often. I'll just say that. So, like, you were applying a status effect with your melee, if you had an aura, and then you were comboing off your own status effect.
That's how I was doing it.
Yeah. Like, it's kind of nuts.
Yeah, it was like my go-to was always like cryoblading and then using Tempest Strike, so that way I could easily combo off of whatever I threw the glaive at, and it was just like, okay, I'm just gonna go with that, and then we'll just freeze everything else that's around us.
Yeah. So, emergency power is like one of my absolute favorites. The conductive lattice increases electric damage, electric resistance, blah blah blah. But melee hits detonate an electric explosion can occur every 2 seconds. This used to be like every 3 hits, and like they're both kind of awesome. Like,
well, yeah, you said explosions. How often? Yeah, I'll take that.
Every 3 hits. Now it's every 2 seconds.
Yeah. No, that's no question. Do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
And then dashing increases melee damage. Defeating an enemy with melee restores 40% of your armor. Like, this is pretty much try and survive. Like,
right.
And then low armor, damage taken is reduced by 50%. So you're a little bit more likely to survive. But
there you go.
Instead of, like, I would say this and this is pretty important. Maybe even this. But everything, I think it's... Oh. Yeah, so this. Dashing refills equipped weapon. And
yeah, there you go.
It's... Oh. The elusive talisman is broken. I don't know if it's still broken, like if they fixed it in one of these patches, but like when you dash, you have increased damage by 25%, and then it refills your equipped magazine from the ether. It's magic bullets, so you could even be out of bullets and just dash 3 times, and you have bullets again.
Those are the kind of powers we live for.
Yeah, like this ability is kind of important. Like, I would rather have a more powerful sniper rifle by 25% some of the time. And it's just a matter of playing with stuff like that and testing it out. It's nice to have, like, look for stuff like increased ultimate damage, increase general, like, javelin perks. Like, I would say stuff like melee and ultimate damage are really nice. Elemental can be if you're like me and you're running 2 elemental weapons. But the other loadout I like running is 2 snipers. Which the other sniper is the Wyvern Blitz. And this is especially good on the Storm. You're just kind of just floating up there forever with 40% extra damage.
As it should be.
And this one is a pretty okay roll with the plus 23 additional percent critical damage and 20% ultimate damage and increased gear damage. So, like, everything about this is, like, pretty perfect for the Storm.
Like, yeah, I am skewing usually towards more armor, recovering the ultimate, and melee more than I am even worried about what guns I'm carrying half the time. It's like,
yeah,
even though it is important, like, for me, like, more on the aesthetic side, it's like, well, I'm the melee guy.
Yeah, and that's really fun, but I even have another snipey pew pew. And so, like, the Wyvern Blitz and the Siegebreaker, and then I think these are the old components, yeah. So this, because I like increasing damage, and then this, because I like getting that ultimate charge.
Right.
And then, obviously, targeting beacon.
I love your names for those, by the way.
Yeah. my build names. And then
Snipey Pew Pew.
The elusive talisman is the pinnacle of this build. Like, it is wonderful and beautiful. And then just other stuff to increase all damage, increase weapon magazine size, because I'm running 2 snipers. I want lots and lots of sniper bullets.
Yes.
Yeah, and then I went with this because the increased flight time and being able to hover and snipe and get that 40% extra damage on the Deadeye or the Wyvern Blitz is rather nice.
Gotcha. That's one I still haven't picked up yet because, like, unlucky.
Yeah. So,
one
like,
of these days.
I finally got the other sniper, the Truth of Tarsus, and not very excited about it.
with that kind of name, you'd think it would be actually something pretty cool, huh?
Oh, like, Devastator, like, all the way up to 30 was my favorite weapon.
Well,
like,
yeah, it is the Devastator. That's a hard sniper to beat.
Yeah, and this is the upgraded version of that. But, like, Siegebreaker, you have the freezing. And then Wyvern Blitz is just, like, more damage. Like, granted, this has that blast damage, so the
Right.
AoE effect. So I could maybe see it being interesting against, like, the big boss on Tyrant Mine. But
yeah.
I don't know how well that'll work on the weird spider tank or the monitor even. And
that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Plus, like, my Wyvern Blitz has the plus 23% critical damage, so as long as I'm making those crits, it's pretty amazing.
I had to load into my own free play really quick to see if I would be lucky enough to get anything while you're doing this. Nothing so far. I found a single uncommon ember.
Yeah. But, so what have you been messing around with in terms of your components and stuff?
For me, it usually depends because I want to try to break into not only doing my interceptor as the build. So I've been trying to like we mentioned it a little bit earlier how you don't really play the ranger much anymore, and I'm trying to get used to that one. But then at the same time, it's more of like, am I really trying to do a good like turning it more into a support role for it? And so I've been like more paying attention, like, okay, am I actually being useful with my bulwark shields and or bulwark point, I should say, and I'm actually just trying to actually get better weapons. I've been more looking at those than my components, which, you know, me being the casual guy that I have been, hasn't been too great, because it's like, well, are you going to survive on doing hard or even thinking about GM? And it's like, well, not too well. Not too well.
So, a suggestion I could make for you is if you are all purple, you want to do your legendary contracts in GM.
Okay.
That way, at this point, you will start to actually earn these masterwork components, and then you'll start to raise up your level, and then you'll just be able to explore GM free play solo or with friends, and then it'll be easier to farm for those weapons that you want.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Good, because that'll be like the new plan, because I need to just start revisiting it, especially now that it's more playable on PC thanks to you. And we can get some more game time in together, and maybe you guys can see me crash into walls and stuff.
Yeah,
it'll be great. Aki Style, thank you so much for coming out with us. Anterior Lobe, I see you. Hope you guys had an amazing time. Hope you guys enjoyed us doing something a little different this time with the podcast, which I think was
YouTube and wherever you can find your podcasts.
Heck yeah. So if you guys are, as always, wanting to see what we're going to do next, or maybe have suggestions for what you'd like to see do next, go ahead and shout at us at any of those places. We'll be looking for you. We definitely want to hear back from you. So don't feel like you can't talk to us. We like to talk to you guys. We do this for you guys as much as us. But thanks again for coming out, everybody. Again, my name is Dorseus. I am your interceptor pilot in our Anthem times, and you guys can usually find me cruising on Mixer at mixer.com/Dorseus, or you can usually find me over on Twitter at Dorseus as well.
Yeah. And I am Adema360. I am often on Twitter, sometimes on Mixer, sometimes on Instagram, and I'm working on making streams a little more interesting. I got the cool thing.
Ooh, you got the cool voices. Nice. I dig it.
I am the Batman.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice, guys. Did you know I am a co-host with Batman? I just found out myself. Thanks again, you guys, and we'll catch you next time.